Welcome back to the channel, everyone. By the popular demand, we are finally looking at Toyota Land Cruiser 300. Yes, and once again, we are very thankful to Klubny Servis Moscow channel. These guys are doing amazing things with the cars. They are lifting the bodies off the frame of the car. They're disassembling everything. They are calling it for what it is. And it is related to Chinese vehicles, to not Chinese vehicles, and to such legendary vehicles as Toyota Land Cruiser in this particular case. This is, in case it's the first video that you're watching of this kind of video from me, this is an adapted and translated video of obviously Russian origin. Keep the politics out of the comments. I always say that, but I have to continue repeating because someone always wants to tell me just how, how they feel about political situation in the world. No one, or at least not many people, are happy about the political situation in the world. I'm telling it to you point blank. So please keep the politics out of it and save your breath. Let's talk about cars, purely cars, that's it. Now these people, the Klubny Servis Moscow and Ilya specifically, their host, they are amazing. They have been doing this for many years. They have over 1 million followers. They know what they're talking about, and they are never ever guided by some local dealerships or sponsorships or something like this. They are calling it for what it is, which is why I love their videos and which is why I am bringing their videos to you. Спасибо, ребята. Большое спасибо за ваш контент. Хочу донести от вас самое лучшее до англоязычной публики. Just my thanks to the original creators of the video, and the link to the original video is, as always, in the description of the video. Once again, this is going to be a two-part video. So this first video is where Ilya shows us around the car, shares some facts, some information about it. It is essentially a review of the car on the surface. Second video that's going to come as a second part of this video is going to be when we look at the underbelly, when he lifts everything up. He always publishes videos this way, and that's exactly how I translate these videos as well. Interested? Please give me a like. That's the best way for you to tell me that I'm still on the right track and you're interested in this kind of content. And subscribe for more videos, because more content like this is coming. It's been very popular and we've been having wonderful conversations in the comments down below. You're always welcome here. Now, let's listen to Ilya and take a closer look at Toyota Land Cruiser 300. So what is Toyota Land Cruiser 300 really like? Well, first thing that Ilya is pointing out here is that they are looking at 2021 Land Cruiser 300 Jubilee Edition, a car dedicated to 70 years since the first model of Land Cruiser range was ever released, which we all have to applaud here, as it's definitely a massive achievement for any brand, and many still believe that we are looking at a legendary, truly legendary vehicle, whether or not we are supporting Toyota's pricing, delivery, and other current commercial models that apply to us in our backwater planet of Australia. This Land Cruiser is owned by a company, not by an individual private owner. Land Cruiser 300 was reviewed on the surface by every imaginable and unimaginable YouTube outlet out there in Australia, Russia, Antarctica, who cares. But what no one has done before, and what Ilya is going to do in the next video, is typical thing that they do is to disassemble this vehicle fully, following this very first impression and honest surface introduction. So here we are setting the scene, so to speak. I am very excited personally about translating the next disassembly video, and if so are you, you know what to do. Like this video and subscribe to the channel not to miss out on the next one. So Ilya here suggests that Land Cruiser 300 looks and feels a lot like the American legend of Cadillac Escalade, if you're familiar with that vehicle, as it uses similar elements of its design and structure, such as narrowed down headlights, modular front bumper, which is a point of argument of its own, whether it's a good thing or not. On one hand, it's easier to replace if only one part of it got damaged, but on another, the company made its car now in such a way that if you need to replace the whole bumper, let's say, you would need to order 10 parts instead of one, which comes with its own price markup. But that's already speculation that you may or may not be interested in. As the structure of TLK 300 is quite different from its predecessor TLK 200, Ilya says that many fans are already shouting that we're seeing the end of the legend of Land Cruiser, presumably lineup, but rightly so, he points out that exactly the same crowd of people were shouting back in 2007 when Land Cruiser 100 was superseded by Land Cruiser 200. So we will ignore their voices for now, as at least until we watched the next video in this mini-series where Klubny Servis will disassemble this vehicle and show us its underbelly. Some of the owners of the previous models of Land Cruiser would have different theories on why there is also this particular dip on the bonnet of TLK 300 that Ilya here points out. Is it purely for aesthetics, for example? Well, Ilya says that actually no, it is to improve the visibility of the frontal tip of this very long vehicle, which actually really works apparently and makes a difference when you are in the driver's seat. From the side, we see here a 5-meter long massive black vehicle and 20-inch wheels, which are standard in TLK 300 models, and it seems to be a big deal because apparently the earlier models of Land Cruiser had 18-inch wheels standard, as Toyota is rather old school and rigid in positioning this car as off-road primarily, and 18-inch is what they went with for years. 20-inch undoubtedly looks much better here, and while it's a subjective statement, I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me. This is also a very different body of the vehicle, different geometry of the whole structure, different roof, and apparently Toyota even used some aluminium in assembly of TLK 300, making the whole body of the new car lighter than the one of Land Cruiser 200. Interior of the vehicle is large and roomy, as one would expect, unsurprisingly, and when we open the tailgate here, the owners, especially of the previous models of Land Cruiser, would immediately notice that there is none of that fold-out lower part of the boot door, which was available before, and people could even sit down on it or whatever have you, use it to put something heavy into it as you load it in or out. And this is also a very large boot. It's a very, very high level kind of information here from Ilya. So far, it all looks great, doesn't it? This is a black, massive, modern-looking vehicle. Price is very, very steep, and Ilya says that top models of Land Cruiser have always sold for about between 100 and 120,000 American dollars on the territory of Russia for years and years, which I'm sure you'd agree is a massive price tag for most of us and automatically excludes this car from value cars lineup, in my humble opinion, sitting here translating this for you. But basically Ilya says that the times change, currency exchange rates change, and while in rubles right now the car is at astronomical heights, the baseline conversion price into dollars remains more or less the same. What everyone doesn't like and seems to be agree on in the community right now is the interior of Land Cruiser 300, even the top models, because, put simply, this interior is still coming to you at extortionist price tag, but it reminds Ilya at least of a RAV4. Yep. Firstly, Ilya says that a large male of his size suddenly feels quite uncomfortable actually fitting into Land Cruiser 300's driver's seat. Yes, you need to have a rather large frame like he does to feel it probably, but it's a problem that he never had with the predecessor of this vehicle, Land Cruiser 200, and might be a point of concern for you if you're a larger male as well. Main reason for that is, in his opinion, how Toyota designed and changed the inside protrusion of the driver's door. Ilya says that it honestly feels like they stole basically of about, I don't know, 10 centimeters of interior space here for an unknown reason why exactly they went that way. And it's unclear exactly what they want from this other than just taking that space away. And according to him, considering the positioning of this vehicle on the market, that's his only problem with the vehicle, other than obviously a very high price tag. Sitting in the driver's seat, he points out that we are seeing very, very basic design of something that's completely void of luxury. It is easy to forget, of course, because the price tag is really, really high, and the imposing exterior of the car suggests sort of somewhat luxurious feel on the inside, but Toyota never marketed Land Cruisers as luxury vehicles. Luxury has always been reserved by Toyota for Lexus brand. Ilya says it's all plastic in here. It's all rather poverty, for the lack of a better word. But
Put simply, it's all very functional, robust, relatively solid, and you can just wipe it all with a piece of wet cloth. Land Cruiser 300 was created for those lucky Australian retirees who bought their houses for 20,000 and sold yesterday for a couple of mil each. You know who you are, and yes, I'm openly jealous. Or otherwise wealthy individuals, obviously elsewhere, who want to drive from and to their country house in the middle of some bushland or farmland somewhere after weeks of pouring rain. Which is why, by design, Toyota didn't bother giving you any fancy electronics that we are quite used to seeing in the modern Korean or even Chinese cars such as Tank 300 or Tank 500 that we've reviewed recently. Looking at the infotainment system and the central instrument panel in the modern day and age, it looks all very poverty and rather sad, as Ilya says, and while I personally don't mind the basic and functional dash, speedometer, odometer and all of that, the infotainment screen with microscopic Google Maps would surely make you raise your eyebrows, honestly, even if you're a Toyota hardcore supporter. But once again, Ilya thinks that those who want all the fanciness from Toyota, they will just probably wait for Lexus and get every bell and whistle, paying for it, yes, even a higher extortionist price, but that's their choice. Who can stop people from spending their money the way they want? You tell me. Ilya mentions that Land Cruiser 300 apparently has a slightly cheaper version that's stripped down further and excludes differential lock and many off-road capabilities of the base model. For those who want to still look big and imposing on the road, but who don't want to drive off the beaten path and who want to live in the city. He says that while he knows that this version exists somewhere, maybe even Australia, I don't know, I haven't checked, but he hasn't seen that in the Russian dealerships, at Russian dealerships, and it's easy to understand why with the Russian weather conditions and potential use cases for this car. While one could argue that if you drive through the mud, you shouldn't need or have to pay for any of this extra fanciness. And if you live in the city, you shouldn't need the 4x4 modes and diff lock. But there is still a set of features that a lot of people would like to have anyway, such as seat heating, wireless phone charging, different driving modes, and all of that is assembled in this analog panel in the middle with physical buttons that Ilya quite likes and complements here after having reviewed many touchscreen based control panels. This vehicle is designed to drive through conditions that a lot of other cars or city SUVs are not designed to survive. There are a bunch of classic engineering solutions from Toyota here, such as the single bar rear axle, which would seem like very old school engineering solution, not super comfortable to drive in, yeah, but at the same time, if you remember what this was designed for, such a construction will always last a lot longer than something much softer, fancier and more modern. So Toyota yet again made things much simpler and easier to repair and maintain. Really basic suspension, similar to what we've seen in Land Cruiser 200. Why? Once again, because this is made to drive for 200,000, 300,000 kilometers through rain, snow and potholes on the roads with no need to repair anything. But this is where we will continue our story next time, disassembling Land Cruiser 300 fully and showing you the whole underbelly, including the engine, suspension, electric wiring and a lot more, as Klubny Servis always does better than anyone else. A lot of reviewers apparently have suggested things like that Land Cruiser 300 has the same brake system as TLK 200, but Ilya here on the spot says that it is not true, as one of the facts that he is going to debunk next time for us. And there are a lot of other completely brand new solutions from Toyota in Land Cruiser 300 that you probably would not want to miss if you're remotely interested in this vehicle. So if you have enjoyed this video and would like to learn more about TLK 300 and stay tuned for similar video reviews including disassembly, you know what to do. Like the video to say thanks and subscribe for more not to miss the next episode. And I thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.